who's going to tune in and participate in this live. We have we have with us today for the second time around Mr. Brian Concannon, who is a human rights lawyer. Last year, he was very kind enough to join me on the conversation series, and I appreciate and thank him so much for taking the time to be here with myself. I had to invite him because he has been doing a remarkable job when it comes to supporting the mainly Haitian community in regards to the temporary protected status that is currently on trial because the current administration wants to terminate it for the country of Haiti. So, Mr. Concannon, if you want to introduce yourself, if you want to let people know who you are, then you have the floor.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daisy. I'll start off by saying that I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to come talk to you and your listeners again. And I'm looking forward very much to our conversation. I'll do a quick personal introduction, but I'd like to get into your questions. I'm a human rights lawyer. I I'm based now in Boston, in the United States. I did live in Haiti from 1995 until 2004. I worked for a little bit for the United Nations, but most of the time I worked for an organization called the Bureau des Avocats Internationaux, which is a human rights legal office that tried to make it still does tries to make the justice system in Haiti work for the majority of Haitians who are impoverished. Um, since 2004, I've been back in the United States working for the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. We go by the acronym IJDH. We still collaborate with our colleagues at the Bureau des Avocats Internationaux in Haiti, and we also try to work for U.S. policies that respect Haitians' rights. That was it for my introduction. I'm happy to talk more, but I also have a problem with my phone running out of charge. Let me plug that in.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Concannon, last summer we had our first discussion and we talked a little bit about the temporary protective status. And you were also part of the people who were opposing the President Trump administration, who wants to terminate the TPS for Haiti. And I want us to discuss your dedication mainly to the Haitian community. And I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I if you can hear me, I am not able to hear you at the present moment. Are you okay? Is everything okay on your end, Mr. Concannon? Hello? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Oh, guys, please give me 1 second. Oh my God. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can forward the link to him. Okay, give me a second. Okay, guys. You- Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I'm really sorry about that.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself about that. So I was letting you know that I was last year around the same time we were talking about the temporary protective status, and we were discussing the fact that President Trump was is very adamant as far as like terminating the TPS status for Haiti. We all know that you are a passionate person and you feel that, in your opinion, you mentioned racism. You feel like the administration is being very racist toward the people of Haiti, toward many the Haitian community, and you feel that the Haitian people have the right to be in the United States under the TPS, which is the temporary protective status. I would like for you to express a little bit more why you believe that, Haiti, because we have to be clear, Mr. Concannon, when we are talking about the temporary protective status, it is not necessarily for an individual. Temporary protective status is allocated toward a country when the country has suffered some, major inconvenience, such as what Haiti suffered in 2010. This is when Haiti was granted the TPS status. Now we are in the year 2026. This is nearly 16 years afterwards. Haiti has continued to benefit from the TPS status. The people who have the TPS status, have not been regulated. So it's not like the former past government have said, well, let's make sure that they can legalize themselves. There are many of them are still under that protective status. And you are a part of the people who are asking President Trump not to remove Haiti, the country of Haiti, under the temporary protective status. Why so? Why do you believe that? And why are you not being objective, in my opinion? And why and why do you believe that Haiti should be allowed to remain under the TPS?
Yeah, Daisy, that's a really good question, and it is important to start off with the first word in temporary protected status is temporary, and it is not, as you mentioned, it is not an individual process like a green card or citizenship that gives an individual a some kind of a permanent status, and it is also supposed to be temporary because of a temporary situation that makes it unsafe to remain in Haiti. And as you noted, it was originally granted in 2010 based on the earthquake, which was really a temporary condition that made it unsafe. And in fact, I think you could not justify extending TPS now because of the earthquake. I think Haiti's, not it hasn't been complete recovery, but there are still remnants of people harmed by the earthquake. But I think you do not have the problems that raise to the level of TPS protection. But then TPS was extended and renewed in 2016 after Hurricane Matthew came. And that was an independent reason for doing it. And then I think Haiti's more or less recovered from Hurricane Matthew as well. But then there were more tropical storms in 2020, and most recently in 2023, which 2024 was when the last time it was extended, was because of the gang violence that is you know making many parts of Haiti very dangerous places to live. And so you're right that the same justification in 2010 isn't a good reason now. Very unfortunately, Haiti's had a series of conditions that still make it very dangerous to go back. And one measure of why that's true is that the the Department of Homeland Security, it has to issue a notice in what's called the Federal Register. That's the official publication of the US government. They file a notice explaining why they're terminating it. And when they said they terminated it, and they made the statement that Haiti is safe to return to, right before that, they talked about how the gang violence in Haiti is threatening to destabilize not just Haiti, but the entire Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere. And, it's hard to see how violence that's about to destabilize the Western Hemisphere makes it safe for Haitians to return. And one of the reasons why, so right now TPS, the administration did, as you mentioned, is very adamant about trying to end that. They were stopped last July by a judge review. And under the law, the administration's supposed to talk to all of the concerned agencies. And for Haiti in the past, it's been the State Department, Department of Homeland Security, some of the intelligence agencies, and maybe USAID to get their opinion. And we've seen this in past terminations, including under the Trump administration, the first term, where the government really did do that consultation. They send messages to the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince, to different field offices, and ask everybody what do they think, and they get a lot of material. This time, they literally sent one email to the State Department that the State Department responded 19 minutes later saying, yes, we think that TPS can be terminated. So there clearly was not the kind of consultation that the law requires. And I think the reason is that any reasonable consultation would find out that Haiti really is suffering from conditions that make it very dangerous to return. I mean, Haiti has the highest murder rate in the world. It has the highest kidnapping rate in the world. It has, the hunger. It's one of the five countries that have been designated a hunger hotspot. If you look at the conditions in Haiti and you compare it to other places that have TPS, Haiti is by almost any measure one of the worst places that have TPS. And so, looking at the law, it really is there is no justification under the law to terminate TPS at the time. And that is really what the administration knew, which is why they didn't follow the law.
Okay, I heard you, and I am taking everything that you said into
Yeah.
consideration. However, I'm unfortunately I'm going to have to disagree with you on certain things, not necessarily on the facts, because you are correct when you bring in that may perhaps the Trump administration didn't do a proper consultation, but we're just going to look at things a little bit outside of the law, like more concrete, right?
Yep.
Mr. Concannon, can we say and can we not see that it is in a way in a very abuse of the temporary protective status by the Haitian government to continuously, you know, not do their part. And so that the United States government is not responsible for another country's government. So when, in my opinion, when he's looking at it, in my opinion, as if like, okay, the United States didn't create the gangs and everything that's going on. President Trump came with an agenda. And one of the main thing in his agenda was to make sure that US citizens were safe, and that he really wanted to make sure to regularize the immigration, right? But when we continuously have an afflux of immigrants coming to the United States, can we not agree that it is not good for the economy of your country? And I feel that it's just keeping Haiti under the TPS continuously. It's enabling the bad governments that is happening right now in Haiti. And I, looking at things objectively, I look at it as if past government official from the United States and government official from Haiti, it's kind of like it's been like a young, ping pong ball. Like, okay, we'll extend TPS for you. Okay, we'll continue to create the chaos. But I feel like if President Trump is saying enough of that, I do not want Haiti to be a part of TPS. Haiti has got to be able. So now it's going to make sure that government here in Haiti, they have to do their own work. They have to work. They cannot rely and depend constantly on another government. Now, you mentioned that, yes, it is the truth. We all know that Haiti is still under major, major, gangs and everything that is currently happening. When is it? I was even having a discussion with that. We don't even know, those of us who are currently living in Haiti, when the situation is going to end, how it's going to end. The police is equipped and other nations are trying to support, but the madness that have been created here in Haiti, in my personal opinion, I feel like it's not going to end anytime soon. So in the meantime, I mean, in the meantime, should the United States continue to allow the temporary protective status for the country of Haiti, or should they? It's kind of like you looking at it as kind of like, when are you going to let your own child grow up? You know, Haiti is an independent country, supposedly a country, a free country. So that's where perhaps I'm looking at it as if, like, you know, it's not good. It's enabling bad governments for Haiti when we are trying to protect. You are a human right activist. You're looking at families. You're looking at individuals. You're looking at what that is going to make mean for individuals to just, people who have been living in the United States for 15 years, for 10 years, for, have families. So now they have to come back to a country where it's kind of like they don't have any base, they don't have any ground. So you look, I understand your perspective because you are a human right lawyer, but do you understand also the perspective of someone like myself?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a complex question. I'm going to try. I started taking notes halfway through because there's so much to it. I'm worried I'm not going to answer it all. I'm going to give it my best, but please ask any follow-up questions if I don't try to address, all of it in its complexity. And I'll start off, completely agree that, that we can't use this as a way to get the Haitian government off the hook. I think we're going to strongly agree on the failures of the Haitian government, and that it has not created conditions for its people to live safely. And that's something that TPS holders in the U.S. who face deportation. They have a right to a better government back home, but obviously, all the 14 million people in Haiti, they have the right to a better government that actually does take action against gangs, that does provide basic government services, that does allow an economy that gives people an opportunity to earn their way out of poverty. And I'll just put in a plug for my organization. It's We have a website. We just put out a report on human rights in Haiti that addresses a lot of what you talked about, including problems, especially problems with the governance. And if you go to our website, which is HaitiJustice.org, you can find the report right on the top of that. I'd like to take a little detour to talk about the economic impact, because that's something that people raise. And what is the economic impact in the U.S.? And certainly any immigrant who comes in uses some government services. They drive on government roads. If they have kids, the kids are in schools. If they have emergencies and they don't have health insurance, sometimes they go to public hospitals. But when you look at the economic data and the studies, they find out that immigrants almost always contribute a lot more in tax dollars than they get. Um, and an example is the Haitians with TPS. The calculation is they pay $1.5 billion in state, local, and national taxes. 200,000. So there's an estimated 350,000 Haitians with TPS in the United States. 200,000 of them are working, and how Haitians work. Many of them are working two jobs, and they're paying taxes. They're also, which is really important in the United States, and 19 secretaries of states of different U.S. states just filed a legal brief about this. Is that they're doing critically important work in um, areas of the economy that are A, very important, and B, struggle to get enough workers. That's especially healthcare. And I know this because unfortunately, my mom, towards the end of her life, and she died 2 years ago. She was in a nursing home, and the nursing home used to apologize, saying, "Hey, we wish we could do better service, but we have trouble hiring people." But in fact, I thought it was pretty good. But most of the people who are staffing, especially the newer employers, were Haitians. And I live in Boston, and that's the case everywhere in Boston. It's the case in Florida. It's the case in New York, and it's the case in many places, that Haitians are doing, especially elder care roles that are that otherwise they could not hire people to do it. In fact, it was kind of a really uplifting story in a Florida paper a couple of weeks ago, where Jewish residents of senior senior citizen living places, and many of them with the experience of the Holocaust. They were talking about they were going to find ways to hide the Haitian staff so they couldn't get deported if TPS was canceled. And it's not just healthcare; it's also hospitality, especially hotels, restaurants. It's food processing, and it's across the board. And I'm really glad you raised this issue because people do say, okay, immigrants are taking our jobs. But the reality is there's lots of jobs in the US economy that people don't want to do. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I would much rather not work for minimum wage in a chicken processing plant. It's really hard work. I have great respect for the people who do it, but I'm not worried they're going to take my job because I'm not going to, I'm going to do everything I can not to have to take that job. And they're mostly taking jobs that other people are not. They own houses. I think it's 42,000 houses are owned by TPS holders, and they're just doing important work across the economy. Then I want to get to, and I've been avoiding the kind of the main part of your question, which I think is really important. And I'm going to key in on one word you said. When you're talking about the Haitian government, you said it was supposedly independent. And I think that to me is a really key word because when you talk about the Haitian government, who put the Haitian government there? It was not the Haitian people. There hasn't been an election in 10 years. The Haitian government was put there by the United States. And so, I'm not taking any blame off of the people who are currently in government, getting paid, getting per diems, getting security, getting everything else, and not providing basic services. But from the point of view of your average Haitian, including people with TPS, they can very easily say, "Hey, that's not my government. That's the U.S.'s government." And it's actually really interesting that one of the things, so I've been doing advocacy for Haitians for over 30 years and advocating both for Haitians in the U.S., but also to try to get a better government in Haiti. And at key times, and throughout this time, we have our colleagues at the Bureau des Avocats Internationaux in Haiti. They're in the courts or in the streets every day trying to get a more just and democratic government in Haiti, as I did when I worked there for 8 years. But I work from the U.S. end, and one of the things we keep saying is Haiti does not have a chance to be a prosperous, stable country unless the U.S. stops interfering. And one of the ways that we're able to apply pressure on the United States is through immigration. And this goes back, we've done this several times. So back under the Jean-Claude Duvalier dictatorship, which the US supported very generously. One of the reasons why they stopped supporting it was because there was kind of the original boat people started fleeing the country in the 1980s. The US government said, "Oh, we're going to send all these people back." Lawyers got up and said, "No, you can't. That's illegal." And it was once lawyers started winning the cases and the US could not send all those people back that the US government said, "Okay, we're going to have a better policy to Haiti, and we're going to support a new government." This happened again in the 1990s during the de facto regime from 1991 to 1994. One of the key ways to get the US to stop supporting the de facto regime was again the fact that there were so many Haitians who were forced out of the country by the violence of that regime. And and the US government again, they tried to keep people in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Lawyers stopped them from doing that. They tried to repatriate everybody, send them back without giving them an opportunity to apply for asylum. Lawyers stopped them from doing that. And it was because they could not send the Haitians back that really forced the US to say, okay, we're going to help get a better government in Haiti. And so, again, this is an opportunity to say to the US, look, and we've been saying it, look, Mr. Trump, President Trump, if you don't like having all these Haitians here on TPS, you need to have policies that's going to give Haiti a chance to have the stability that everybody wants. Most people with TPS, if they could go back to a stable Haiti and live a life of dignity, they would much rather go back. Like I say, like I, and they would rather be with their family and their friends within their culture with much better weather than you're going to get in a place like Boston. But it's the fact that we don't have a stable, prosperous country and that's really kind of a key part to all of this.
Okay, I really love that you literally answered my next question.
I'm
And
sure you have more good ones.
no, you really inserted because I was going to bring in the fact that okay, well, how if we are trying to stop the government from removing the TPS for how long? Because it cannot be indefinite. And I was also going to ask you, okay, so what's the solution? Because it's like they can't uphold the Haitian government to do their job. But I do agree with you that if they can stop meddling and finally let Haiti, right now we are getting ready to go under election, supposedly in November. So now that you're mentioning it, I feel like, okay, they could probably uphold the temporary protective status until the next election. So giving people another year or so until the next election, until government is in place. And then with a structured government, they can, start the process of, re-looking into the temporary protective status. Now, one thing that I am going to say is that everything that you just talked about proves my point in saying that past US government officials and Haitian government officials have worked, in my opinion, hand in hand with the madness and to the defense of the administration of Trump, which, in my opinion, again, is receiving so much hate because they are finally taking the steps of, doing what former US government should have done. They are taking a stance and saying, okay, no, we are going to make sure that we have a little bit more regulation. And perhaps the president approach is cutthroat, like he's just not playing any games. I know that for people like yourself, you're looking at it as, infringement of the democracy. I know so many people have, so many ways of describing his approach, more so of a dictatorship, a totalitarian regime. I saw these things on TikTok, but I don't know, maybe it's because I understand his thinking and having lived, I've been in Haiti since 2018 now. So this is nearly like 7, 8 years that I've been living here. And Brian, you don't understand. It feels as if this country has gone backward from the earthquake. We have literally camp cities all around Port-au-Prince again, and it's discouraging. So I just thinking about the last travel that I did in 2017 when there was a heavy discussion about removing the United Nations finally, like the UN troops in Haiti. This was like 2017. Jovenel Moise was already here, and to come back 1 year later, I came back in December 2018, and in the span of 2.5 years, this country has regressed. And from 2021, with the assassination of the president till now, from any perspective, from a societal perspective, from government leadership perspective, it feels as if this country has regressed 20 years, and I'm just afraid that, it's, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say that I'm losing hope, but I do understand the president when he, like, I wouldn't take a sweet approach with Haiti for me. If I was in any type of government leadership, my approach would be similar to the President Trump approach, even in the matter of Haiti, because I feel like it's madness everywhere. It's just complete total madness. And how do you even go back to society? So this is what I want you to see. I know you, the last time you were in Haiti was actually in 2018, if my memory serves me right.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you decide to come, you would be shocked yourself to see how much regression that this country has gone into. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in touch with people and I'm reading reports and talking to my friends in Haiti. And, I'm not experiencing it directly like you and so many of your listeners. But, so I have some understanding, not a complete understanding, because I'm not seeing it myself, about how discouraged and frustrating you you must be finding this situation, and and to a large extent hopeless. I mean, I have conversations with friends in Haiti all the time who tell me the same thing, and these are people that I've known for 20, 30 years, and they've always been able to find some hope, and it's just getting harder and harder. And that's, I've just got, I mean, it breaks my heart, and I just think of, my friends, but also, people I don't know, millions of people who are just suffering under this unbelievable strain and danger without really having a clear, without knowing when this is going to all end, which is extremely difficult. And I would say that, in 2018, which is kind of where you started that, if you had asked me in 2008, I would have said things have gone down so precipitously since 2004 or 1995 when I first got to Haiti. Some areas there's been progress, technology and things like that. Maybe some roads improved, but in terms of governance, it's just it's been going down for 22 years, and it's just incredibly discouraging. But and here's a point of agreement. I'm not blaming Trump, and I'm not blaming just the Republican Party for that. That was a bipartisan effort by the United States. There's been Democratic presidents, Republican presidents. Each one I can single out for blame, but unfortunately, it has been a policy of the United States, to support undemocratic governance in Haiti. And I'll have the most recent example. I mean, in just before February 7th, and you know, I'm I'm not going to say exactly what should have been done. I'm not sure I have a strong opinion, leading up to February 7th when the mandate of the Transitional Presidential Council ended. But there were substantial civil society groups who said, we need a change of direction. We need to do something else. And there are lots of, ideas out there. And it's not for me to say which was the best idea, but there were ideas out there. And the US sent in a battleship into the harbor, and said, as a sign to say, no, that's not going to happen. None of these ideas that Haitian civil society is proposing are going to happen. What's going to happen is the guy that we want to stay as prime minister is going to stay as prime minister, and that there's no one else who's going to be allowed to stay who can tell him to do anything he doesn't want to do. And as long as you have that, and I'm singling out President Trump, but you can go back since 1804, and the same thing has been happening over and over again. And as long as that keeps happening, I think Haiti's just in a real tough spot, and it's going to be hard for Haitians to come out of that.
Now, just one thing that I want to point out, since you mentioned the last February 7th. I actually really liked the fact that the president took that stance when it came to Haiti. Because, Brian, maybe it's because I live here. People are sick and tired of these people that are in governments in Haiti. We are tired of dying. We are tired of the chaos. Waking up through gunshots, it's not okay. Your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up. So many of us died out of like heart attack, blood pressure going up, people, elderlies, in the hospitals. We don't even have any hospitals. So people were really, really afraid when the date of February 7th was approaching, but I was not. I knew that President Trump meant business and that he was going to do, whatever was necessary to make sure that these guys understood that he meant business. And when it came to the transitional council, none of them were doing anything. However, changing the course, the prime minister was already in. So changing and getting another person right then and there, these Haitians, they cannot collaborate. This would have regressed us. Right now, it's like things are, they have, the prime minister, he's already has a cabinet. He's getting the work done somewhere, somehow. And that's what we need. We cannot waste time over and over, because if they hadn't kept him, Mr. Concannon, you have worked in Haiti. You deal with Haiti. Do you believe that if the prime minister was not in right now, that it would have been another smooth government? It would have not been. It would have been a complete madness. They would have created chaos. But the stance of President Trump, the fact that he means business and he said, listen, we are just going to keep the same guy. and then you guys are going to organize yourself in order for Haiti to go into election. I feel like it was the best decision. Just looking at it, it's really the best decision. Understanding and knowing how these people in Haiti operate. They can't work together for the life of them. They would have take this guy out, but it's not like we would have gotten someone better. It's not like we would have seen progress. There would have been absolutely no progress. It would have been a continued discussion. They're always having discussion. But if we're having a discussions, there needs to be an end result. You can't have endless of discussion, and then when my opinion is like you don't agree with my opinion, then you want to overthrow me, or you no longer want to be a part of what we're doing. I don't know. I feel like President Trump approach with this last situation, February 7th, I agree with him. And personally, I don't believe that the ships were primarily there for Haiti. I feel like they use the situation in Haiti to have the warships over there. But if I'm looking at things from a grander scheme, Cuba is right there. And I feel like it was probably also a way to let the Cuban government know that, hey, you know what, we could do that. But this is a discussion for probably a later time. I want us to move into ICE. Now, a lot of Haitians are going to, ICE. ICE is really immigration and custom, right? That's what they stand for. So when you see ICE, basically, they are there for immigration. They are there to check the immigration status. One thing that I want us, or your opinion, this is because you are fighting to keep the temporary protective status. But as organizations, people like yourself are fighting. ICE is still doing its job, and its job, which is, to take into custodies or question people and bring people in into centers. And one of the things that we are seeing is, unfortunately, the the death of people that are incarcerated through ICE, right? So I'm looking at this situation with the temporary protective status as really really dangerous, because I want people to understand that when they are choosing to stay, because the Trump administration had opened and said you could, self deport. But isn't that now a very, very dangerous situation when they are in the custody of ICE? Because we know of people that are, the recent young lady, I don't know her, I don't remember her name,
Yeah, Daffy
31 year
Michelle.
Daffy Michelle, who mysteriously died. That case is covering everywhere, but they're still not even, they don't know what happened. They don't know how she died. And I know that you are familiar with the second case that you were telling me about. I believe Emmanuel Damas, you said,
That's it. Yes.
who died of a tooth infection, probably because they didn't take him. And there was a book that I read years ago from Edwidge Jantika, which is called Brother, I'm Dying. And it is the very, very, very painful story of her own uncle who died in a concentration, well, I don't want to say concentration camp, but he was apprehending as well for immigration. And because of, people, a lot of the time, these immigration agents, they are not nice people. They are not like the best caring people, right? They are there to do their jobs. They are not necessarily going to give you in their mind. I'm looking at it at, they're looking at you like you don't even have any rights. So they don't want to really give you rights to medical care. They don't care. They are heartless, in my opinion. But they're doing their job. So trying to keep people in this country while the president is so adamant to having them removed, isn't that again another form of like hopeless situation? Because look at this situation with people dying. What's your take on that?
Yeah, really good question, and completely agree with you that the ICE are not very nice people. They're also racist, and this goes back. We touched on this briefly on the TPS case. It was a federal judge who found that the administration in canceling Haitian TPS was doing it for racist reasons, which is unconstitutional in the United States. You cannot motivate policy by racial animus. And she made that decision based on a whole bunch of statements by the president, by the Secretary of Homeland Security, about that they disliked Haitians, and that was why they were getting rid of them. It wasn't because temporary should mean
Okay,
temporary.
I just want
This isn't
to
me. This is
hold
the
on a
judge.
second.
But
No,
I'll
just
move on to the next. I'll move
okay,
to,
okay,
but
okay.
this is also because this is important because that is ICE is carrying out a racist policy, and I'll give you an example. A colleague of mine back this was actually under this was pre-Trump, so it was under Biden's watch when Ukrainian. She was working at the border between California and Mexico, helping Haitians who were trying to apply for asylum. And one day she saw a white woman kind of in the line. She said, "Can I help you?" And it was a Ukrainian woman with a couple of kids, and she had a few minutes, and she took the Ukrainian woman with a couple of kids to the border patrol. The border patrol asked her a few questions and let her in. And my colleague had brought in lots of Haitian women with cute Haitian kids to the border patrol and never got that same answer. And this brings us along to Emmanuel Damas and Daphne Michel. Emmanuel Damas was an asylum seeker. He was legally in the United States. He was arrested in September. There was no reason to arrest him. He did not have a deportation order that he needed to be deported. But ICE held him in detention until February. He got a toothache in detention, something that is easily treatable if you get treatment. They refused him treatment until the toothache infected his whole body and ended up killing him. Daphne Michel was a Haitian woman living in Pennsylvania. She had um, some serious mental health conditions. And as a result of that, she was arrested by her local police. But a judge ordered that the charges be dropped. The judge said, no, there's no crime to this. And the police were, as the judge said, were ready to release her. Her brother was at the trial. Her family was trying to help her as much as possible. But ICE picked her up, drove her 40 miles away, so 70 kilometers away, um, and held her overnight, let her go the next day, but did not return her back to home. And she ended up, as you mentioned, she died mysteriously. She was found at a bus stop 3 days later. And no one knows what happened to her, as far as I know, in those 3 days. But if they had just returned her to her hometown, called her brother and said, pick up your sister, she would be alive today. And that's one of our arguments is that by terminating TPS, you're taking 350,000 people who are legal. They're all working legally, they're living legally, they're going to school legally, they're contributing to communities legal. The second that you end TPS, then whoops, sorry, my phone almost dropped over. The second you end TS, they become illegal. So are you going to uh, arrest 350,000 people in a system that already cannot give Emmanuel Damas a visit to a dentist, who cannot give Daphne Michel a ride back to the hometown where she was arrested, and to just put 350,000 more people into who are legally right now, but then make them illegal and put them into a system that is going to neglect them and cause them great pain. That is just, I mean, I think it's inhuman. I think it's illegal.
I do agree that it is inhuman. I also do agree that when people are in the custodies of ICE, they are now very, very sensitive to, their racism. Not only their racism, but their abuse. Abuse comes in many forms. When people feel like they have authority over you, they feel like they can do anything. So it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, it doesn't even have to be in regards to racism, because we've all seen police officers that are black abusing other black officers. It's just a matter of control and power. Some people, when they have control over another person, they get to power trip. So it's a matter of, human decency for some agents to understand that even if someone is in your custody, they are still human beings. They still have rights, they still have. But this is the case of, Haitian, but we know so many other cases in the United States, the Sandra Bland,
Right.
Trayvon Martin, so many others. So it is a repeated situation with police officers brutalities against mainly, black people in the United States. So now they have, immigrants. I don't necessarily agree that the president administration is doing this because they are racist. I do believe that the president probably is looking at the fact that, he just doesn't want to have a surplus of immigrants and dealing with other people's mess. He's looking at the afflux of immigrants. And he's not only doing that for Haiti, he's been very adamant about the cartel. He's been very adamant about Mexicans, about, fentanyl, about drugs coming in into the United States, about, the last time that I was in the US, I didn't even want to stay. Like, I literally felt like there was no difference between the US and Haiti at this point. I mean, you are living in Boston, just walking down, Tremont Street, around, Park Street. There are so many addicts. There are so many young people who are lost. Like when I went back there, and this was like in 2018, I was shocked. You can't even sit down in Park Street. You literally have to look to see if there's not a needle in those benches because so many people are just lost. The police officers are right there. They too feel overwhelmed. They don't do too much when they see those individuals around Harvard universities, all these young kids that are completely lost. You see them every day. So I don't feel like the Trump administration is not working. I feel like, as a matter of fact, they are working for these individuals that are stranded in the United States. They are working toward stopping the fentanyl, the drugs, parents who have missing kids from years and years, they don't come back. They are child trafficking everywhere. So I mean, I love the work that you do, Brian. I love your dedication to the Haitian people. Wish that I could do it, but I'm looking at things more objectively at this point. And I fear that if the president of the United States, the Trump administration, if they are not so radical, and perhaps it's because I'm not looking at the his policies in terms of humans, and that's probably where we differ, because you are looking at it as more of, no, you are terminating people's lives, but I'm mostly looking at it in terms of like countries, like, no, we have to stop somewhere, somehow we have to stop. So that's probably where our perspectives are different in this situation. Can we agree?
Yeah, no, and I agree with your the underlying principle that temporary means temporary, and that you cannot keep automatically extending a temporary status when it's not justified. I think, I think we have a factual distinction. I think the current conditions in Haiti factually do make it not a safe place for 350,000 people to
Okay,
return
so
to.
when do you think the United States should revisit their decision to remove the temporary status? Just tell me when.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, I would go back to the statute. The statute says it's granted for a particular period of time. And, what they, so the last time they should have done the review was from December to February. Or actually ahead of December. They should have done it last fall, which as I mentioned, they sent one email. They should have done a real review. And then you look at the facts. And what do the facts tell you? I think if they'd gone to if they'd followed the facts back in the fall, the facts would have told them Haiti is not safe to return to. And in which case they should have, under the law, they should have said, okay, the facts say Haiti's not safe to return to now, even if we think that temporary means temporary, that the facts are that temporarily the it's not safe to return. At that point, they do an extension, and it's a year or 18 months. And then you just go through the process again, because I can't predict what's going to happen in 18 months. I'd love it if Haiti was safe to return to in 18 months. I'm I think that that's probably too much to hope for, but we're working to make that happen. But you just go through the steps in 18 months, because I can't predict what happen. No one can predict what's going to happen in 18 months, but you extend it for 18 months because that's what the law says. And then the law says a couple months before the 18 months are up, you go do another review and you ask all the agencies. There are kind of systems for deciding these. So, you and I don't have to say, when is it going to be 2028? Is it going to be 2030? You just follow the steps. And that's what the judge said. And the appeals court judges and lots of other judges, and six judges have said this administration just is not going through the steps that the law requires. And I mean, you can't cancel everybody's TPS by going through the steps, but you can cancel some of them if you go through the steps.
Well, in that respect, I do agree with you. I really, and I've been saying it, you are an exceptional lawyer. So I want people to understand that I am speaking to someone who is well known, who has, the law. So, and you and I are not fighting the same cause, because you're basically looking at it like, okay, President Trump is not going by the law. They're not doing what they are supposed to be doing. Yet the Trump administration is doing what they are supposed to be doing. And in a way, I understand the president. He just doesn't want to be bothered. He wants to cut it out, and he wants to get the ball ready. But I agree with you. And now that you explain it, I think that we can agree that if the president is going to go by the law, then Haiti will probably remain under the temporary protective status for another good 2 to 3 years, because I do not believe that 18 months is not going to, everything is not going to, be roses for us in 18 months. We don't know if the gangs are not going to be more. We don't know about that. So that's a discussion I feel like which would be endless. You have your points, which are very valid. You are an exceptional lawyer. You're going by the law. You feel like the administration is not going by the law. And some of us are looking at it more objectively, and we feel like, okay, perhaps a lot of American people may feel like it's an abuse of support, toward the United States. Haiti has had this for 16 years. They need to get it together. But before we close down, I want us to talk about the current trial that is happening for the four mercenaries Colombians. I'm not so sure if all four of them are Colombians, but those four individuals who were involved in the assassination of, well, they are claiming allegedly that they were involved in the assassination of President Jovenel Moise. They are currently on trial in the United States, and they are, facing charge. And I want to bring in, I have a video that's getting ready to come out on my consulting page, by the way. And in that particular video, I debated the fact that the case of the assassination of President Moise isn't a case that should be, the United States shouldn't have the jurisdiction over that case. Haiti shouldn't have the jurisdiction over that case. I feel like the assassination of President Moise is more of the caliber of the international court, which we have, right? Because they literally assassinated a president, and which led to the downfall and the current madness that Haiti is having. So in my video, I raised the point that, you know, any involvement relating to the assassination of President Moise should be tried at the international court. Like, I'm looking at it like the assassination of President Moise is more of a humanitarian assassination. Like, it's not a regular assassination, because if you're looking at everything that followed through after the assassination, it is the result of the assassination. So anybody who has been involved in the assassination of President Moise should be tried in that particular court. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, that's something I've been thinking about long before President Moise's death. In fact, back in 2000, so now 26 years ago, I wrote a law review article about this question that you raised. Where should you have trials of these, really big crimes that are really attacks against whole countries? And, my conclusion at the time was it's best to have it in the country where the crime took place, because the people of that country are the ones who care the most, and the witnesses are there. It's a way of showing that the justice system can rise to the occasion. And you're going to say, well, clearly Haiti's justice system is not going to rise to the occasion. Completely agree with that. really unfortunate. I mean, because back in 2000, when I wrote that article, I was making the argument that Haiti's justice system had risen to the occasion in a trial that I worked on. It was called the Rabateau massacre case, and that it showed you could that systems like Haiti, even though they didn't have enough money, even though they didn't have a lot of experienced judges, they could still do these cases. The reality is, I mean, there's no better proof than the fact of the fact that Haiti cannot do these cases by the Moise case, because you've got not one single person's been tried. It's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be 5 years since the killing without a trial of a single person, and so clearly Haiti's not able, which is a deep disappointment to me on many levels. I mean, I've spent my life trying to make sure that Haiti had the kind of democratic structure that would allow it to handle this case. And I failed. Everybody who's been doing this has failed. Um, and so I think this is the kind of case that an international court would be good at for a lot of the reasons that you said. And there's a lot of disadvantages of having it in the United States. You're getting the pieces of the case that the United States wants to do, rather than anybody saying we're going to look at a broader justice framing of how we should do it. The problem, unfortunately, I think that although going to an international court, in this case would be probably the International Criminal Court, would be the best venue. It would be desirable, but at this point, not possible. A couple of things. One, Haiti has not ratified the underlying treaty. It's called the Rome Treaty, that would allow Haiti to have allow the International Criminal Court to have jurisdiction over it. You could still get that. The court could still take it if the UN Security Council were to refer it to, and I'm sorry if I'm getting too much in the weeds, but the UN Security Council can tell the International Criminal Court, you need to take this case, and the court will take it. I don't see that happening in the case of Moise. Again, unfortunately, and I mean, it
I
kills
don't want
me.
to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but it's
So
not no, 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 no. It's not happening because these guys in Haiti, they are illiterate. They probably are not even aware that this is a case that should be tried outside, right? Well, I don't want to be disrespectful, but that's how I'm viewing them. It would be maybe, law offices such as Bureau des Avocats, the one that you mentioned, that you worked with in Haiti. I don't know if they would take on this, but definitely the Moise case cannot be tried in Haiti. But I also feel like it's very biased for the United States to even have anything to do with the case because, in my opinion, now, I'm not trying to incriminate you. You don't have to you don't have to answer to what I'm saying. You don't have to say anything. But in my opinion, I feel like the previous government, the Biden administration, was aware of everything that was going on. And I do feel like, they should have a big part into, what took place. So if the current administration of the United States, the Trump administration, if they feel like, okay, we want to have a say and give justice to the people of Haiti, to the president of Haiti. So that means that they have to look into the higher ups of their countries as well. Because let's really be clear. There's no way that such an assassination of that caliber would have happened, and for the U.S. Embassy not to know about it, for them not to have a wing, a ear about what's going on. So if President Trump is looking into truly giving is just due, so there are so many higher ups in the matter of Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, all of them, even President Biden, Kamala Harris. This was the administration that was here when the assassination of President Moise. So this is why I feel like the United States shouldn't take on. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. If they are taking it and they are going about it, then they should do a good job with this trial, really getting down to the nitty gritty. They shouldn't do a surface level job because we all know that so many people were involved into this assassination. Many government officials from many other countries, many United Nations were involved in Haiti with the kidnapping that took place between 2022 and 2024. Many of them have got in were involved into those kidnappings that took place in Haiti. They were picking people left and right. So I just feel like if the justice system of the United States is going to take on this case, then they have to do a good job. And the good job means going after these guys as well. Not only the guys in Haiti, not only the popular guys who had a problem with the president, but everybody has got to pay.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I'm afraid that the purpose of the U.S. prosecution is the exact opposite of what you think it should be, and what I agree with. So, what I think is going to happen? I mean, I completely agree that the U.S. had connections with a lot of the people who were involved. In fact, I believe all four of the people who are at trial now were at some point in their lives informants or collaborators with U.S. intelligence or investigative services. One of the early meetings of this kind of what became this conspiracy was actually held with FBI agents present. At the time, they weren't talking about murder, but they were talking about doing other things that, in the same group of people ended up morphing into doing the murder plot. The people, the attackers were confident, and I haven't seen the proof that the U.S. embassy was involved, but the attackers were confident that what they were doing was with the support of the U.S. embassy, and that the U.S. embassy would help them get out of the country, would approve the killing and get out of the country. I just want to be clear that I haven't seen any evidence that the U.S. embassy approved or even knew about the attack, but certainly the people who were involved, they felt that there was enough U.S. involvement that they would be able to get out. I mean, there wasn't a suicide mission. They didn't want to get themselves killed. They felt that they were going to be able to get out with U.S. help. There's been lots of concerns with the prosecution. One of the biggest, this was raised in the trial, that one of the people that appear to be one of the masterminds and perhaps the link to the higher ups, as you mentioned, is Felix Badio, and the U.S. interrogated at least 250 people. The FBI sent a team down to Haiti right after the assassination. They've sent teams to Jamaica, all over the Americas to interview and interrogate people. They never interrogated Mr. Baggio, even though he was in prison, even though they could have done it. And that raises the prospect that that they didn't want him. They knew who the higher ups were and did not want Badio to tell them that. And I think that part of the purpose of, if you look at these trials, this is, I think you mentioned, on the surface or superficial. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to focus very narrowly on the involvement of these individual people, just enough to get them convicted without reaching the broader issues of justice that are so important to you and so important to all Haitians. So yeah, I unfortunately don't think that this trial. I guess there's going to be some justice if people who are involved are convicted, or if people who shouldn't be convicted are not convicted. I mean, that's a measure of justice. But in terms of bringing, some kind of a complete justice to the Haitian people, or answers to the questions everybody's asking, well, how did our president get killed? And I think, I wasn't a supporter of President Moise, but I think his killing was a horrific thing and very bad for democracy. And the fact that the system has not responded is I think a really troubling sign. And but none of those questions are going to be answered by the U.S. trial, unfortunately.
You mentioned something, and you mentioned that these people, those Colombians, they were under the impression that once a killing was done, they would be able to get out of Haiti very swiftly with the support of the U.S. embassy, officials. Um, that's just me thinking. Do you believe that it could it be that at the end, the United States, the people who were involved, they felt like, okay, this is too risky. We don't want to have anything to do with it. That's why they did not support them in trying to get out of the country.
Yeah, I really don't know, because I don't, again, I want to be clear. We don't have proof. We have
Yeah.
proof that a lot of the people involved had been U.S. informants. And so, I'm fairly confident in saying the U.S. must have known about at least parts of this conspiracy. But, after that, I just don't know what the U.S. knew. Um, and people are working hard to make sure that it stays that way, that we don't know what
Yeah.
happened. And so it's hard for me to, conjecture beyond that.
Okay. Well, Mr. Concannon, I think this is it for today. I don't know if you have any other input. I really want to thank you because I know you are so, so, so busy. And I know you're going to continue for the fights. You are relentless. It doesn't matter if it's the winter time, if it's the springtime, if it's the summertime. What's your drive? What's keep you to fight like this? Why do you want to continue in this fight?
Yeah, ever since my whole life, I've been someone who cares a lot about justice. When I was a little kid, the books I liked, the movies I liked were all about justice. And I think being able to work for Haitians is just and alongside Haitians is just such a privilege for someone like me. I mean, obviously, the injustice to which the Haitian people have been subjected for more than 2 centuries is horrific, but also the resistance and the fighting that Haitians have been doing throughout that same time is just, it's inspiring, and it's just um, exciting and a privilege and an honor for me to be to be part of that struggle.
Well, I really want to thank you for your time. I don't see two or three people that are putting in the work the way that you're doing it. I know that you have a lot of information regarding temporary, like a numbers that people can call. I usually see your flyers. Do you want to talk about that? And do you want to talk a little bit about? I know your Creole may not be long, but do you want to let people know when they get apprehended by ICE? What should they do? What is their right? What should they say no to? What should they say yes to? Do you want to talk about that? And if you have any information that you want to give them, maybe a number, people who need lawyers, maybe you want to, give all your information, go ahead.
Okay, should I do that in Creole? Okay, okay, yeah. Donc, bonjour tout le monde. Premièrement, l'important pour tout le monde aux États-Unis qui pas gagné un statut régulier pour préparer. Et ça veut dire joindre information pour un avocat. Donc, vous avez besoin de gagner un numéro de téléphone pour un avocat ou bien un service qui aide immigrés et que faut famille ou gagne information de ça. Donc, si vous arrêtez, faut que vous gagnez mon pas ou cap relais un avocat. Ça, c'est premier. Donc, c'est question de préparation. Um, Deuxième, c'est question qui ça va faire si gagne, si ICE vient après vous. Premièrement, sur la caillou, gagne deux qualités mandat aux États-Unis. Gagne un mandat administratif et un mandat judiciaire. Un mandat judiciaire, c'est un mandat qui est écrit par un juge, c'est signé par un juge. Un mandat administratif, pas un juge là-dedans, c'est seulement une administration, et c'est ICE qui bat un mandat administratif. Si la police ou bien ICE, si arrive la caillou avec un mandat judiciaire, donc signé par un juge, il a droit pour entrer la caillou. Si c'est un mandat administratif, il n'y a pas de droit pour faire ça. Ou bien, il y a droit pour dire non. Donc, si un monde arrive pour la caillou, pas report là, premièrement. Deuxième, Mondeo, est-ce qu'il y a un mandat judiciaire? Et Mondeo pour montrer et pour assurer que c'est un juge qui signe. Si pas un juge qui a signé, c'est pas un mandat judiciaire ou pas besoin d'ouvrir pour là. Deuxième, si on a la rue et un monde vin pour prendre ou gain droit ou pas gain droit pour frapper moun ou bagay comme ça. Parce que si vous faites ça, là, pas eu plus problème. Mais ou gain droit silence. Donc, si vous demandez ou questionne, si vous demandez qui statut légal ou gagnant, pour tout bagay ça, ou gain droit um, pour pas dire rien. Et que souvent, ce qui ça avocat dit, c'est ou me répond une question pour dire, t'avais besoin de parler avec avocat avant que ma parle veille. Donc, ça, c'est deuxième droit ou gain droit pour un avocat. Donc, si vous êtes capable de gagner un moun pa ou, qui est capable de relayer un avocat pour dire qui côté ou est, et avocat capable d'aller à la station police ou bien qui côté ou est pour aider vous. Et donc, le warté, si vous avez un avocat qui vient pour aider vous, il faut que vous suivez recommandation avocat. OK, en général,
Okay.
c'est ça. Gagnent quelques organisations immigrées, surtout dans New York, dans Floride, qui gagnent plus d'informations en créole et ça c'est bon pour engager avec eux, pour gagner plus de détails au niveau local qui ça ou café.
Thank you so much. I feel like I was treated. I didn't think that you knew how to speak Creole so well. Oh
Oh,
my God. I
I
really
lived
feel
in
like
Haiti
it
for
just
nine
blew me.
years.
Oh, for nine
Yeah,
years?
yeah. And
Oh my God.
Haitians are wonderful places to learn a language. I think in a lot of
Mhm.
countries, like my country, people can be
Wow,
very
that's
impatient.
why.
But yeah,
Oh my God,
Haitians
I
are
didn't know
were
you
very
lived in Haiti
generous
for
in
nine
teaching me Creole.
years.
Yeah.
Wow, you speak very, very well. Now, is there a number that you want to give in? Because I think you had a flyer for people to call in or sign in a petition, I think.
Yeah. So one things we have, we're calling members of Congress because we're asking Congress to do a an extension of TPS, so that we're not in the situation of the courts dealing with it. We can get Congress to say TPS is justified, or extending Haitian TPS is justified. The best way to do it, is to look on our website, which is www.haitijustice.org, and you'll get the information on how to connect there.
Does this apply to any state or specifically to the state of Massachusetts?
Oh, it's any state. So we're making calls nationwide, and we've actually made thousands of calls, and we've had lots of congressional support. Almost half. There's 214 members of Congress have no, sorry, 212 members of Congress have signed on to say they support this, and 218 is half. So if we just get six more, then we have half of Congress, to half of the House of Representatives to say they agree with this, which means we should be able to pass that by the House of Representatives.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. If you want to be in support of the temporary protective status, to support not merely Haiti, but the people who are living in the United States, who are currently working in the United States, who are, really, they have, their lives in the United States. So let's look at it as if like we are supporting people. We are not necessarily enabling this Haitian government here in Haiti, but we are making sure that the people that are already living in the United States, that they can be there safely and continue to remain until Haiti get back on its feet. Mr. Concannon, thank you so very much for your time. Just doing this is really showing your dedication. You didn't have to be here with me. This is the second time around. And I hope that next time we do this, you are here with us in Haiti and that things are better for us in Haiti. Thank you for all the work that you are doing. You are an amazing individual. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Well, I really appreciate, Daisy, this opportunity. I enjoyed talking with you, and look forward to talking the next time in Haiti. In a safe, prosperous Haiti would just be wonderful, and I'll keep hoping and dreaming and working for that. And keep up
Thank you
your good
so
work.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.